What happens when you take too much Adderall? Can you take too much Adderall even when you're prescribed Adderall? Yeah, you can. Here's what happens. If you're new to the channel, hit the like and subscribe button. Taking more than your dose of Adderall or any kind of stimulant drug, especially for ADHD, there are drugs out there such as Adderall that you can take too much of. My dosage for this is 10 milligrams in the morning, right around 7:38, and then another 10 milligrams right around 12:30. Can you take too much of this? Absolutely you can. And what happens when you do? For me, I get extremely hyper-focused. I'm not a doctor or counselor. I've been on Adderall since my late teens. Originally, I was on Ritalin, but it dropped me too quick, and I got onto Adderall. It's funny how our brains work, especially when we self-medicate, because there was periods of time that I would get off of my meds, and I would self-medicate. I self-medicated through cocaine. I self-medicated through alcohol, stuff to help slow down my brain, because I feel that a lot of addicts out there, especially even our ADHD, I mean, we can't stop this thought process, and we're just trying to calm the thoughts. Well, when you take too much Adderall, for me, I get hyper-focused. It almost gets me to the point that I'm high. The reason I know this is not because I went out there and did a bunch of it and I wanted to find out what it felt like. No, because I went through trial and error with my doctors. And at one point, they did have me on 60 milligrams of Adderall a day to see if it changed anything up. I've been on doses as low as 10 milligrams a day and as high as 60 a day. At 60 a day, I could complete one task. That's how hyper-focused I got. When you are hyper-focused, we don't talk about it a lot, but you literally put on full-on blinders and you are after this one task and you become almost obsessed with it. And there is almost a high to it. Your heart rate does at a certain point start to really pick up. A lot of stimulants will calm us down, will allow our thoughts to kind of focus in. But if you overdo it, it's almost overly focused and everything around becomes blurry except for that one object. And that is all we focus on. And we lose track of time, we lose track of eating. I mean, that's where a lot of the side effects can really kick in, I feel, or at least that I felt personally, is if I ignored what some of the side effects were and I was taking too much. What I noticed when I was taking 60 a day, that's 30 and 30. That is 3 times the dose that I'm on now. I was missing all my meals, extreme dry mouth. I was peeing a lot, forgetting to drink, so I was getting dehydrated, getting extremely moody because, well, when I was getting extremely moody was because, well, this had me not eating. And I would complete like one task, and then I had no concept of time or dates because all I cared about was this one thing I was working on. And a lot of times it was just one small project. So, and my depression, my anxiety like went through the roof because I wasn't completing anything. The day was getting done, and then I felt more like a failure that the project even that I did wasn't to my standard or where I wanted it to be or what I had envisioned. And it made me overly frustrated. This is one of the struggles that happens if you take too much of this, especially if you're ADHD, you get hyper-focused. I mean, it's very different. If you're not ADHD, man, this stuff is gonna rock you like any kind of stimulant drug will, meth, cocaine, stuff like that. I mean, it will shock your system. You're gonna feel your heart rate. You're gonna get the sweats. You're gonna be shaking like a mother. When I get hyper-focused, I don't shake. In fact, it's all mental and I am zoomed in. When you're taking this, you got to let your doctors know, and that's part of trial and error, is actually documenting your days and how is this drug making me feel? Am I hyper-focused, or am I actually functioning as an adult? Am I completing a to-do list? Have I made it through everything I needed to for the day? One of the biggest, though, is that eating affects our attitude, affects our mood. I still set alarms even to make sure that I eat. I need to make sure that I put into my system 3 meals a day. And sometimes it's a small meal. It might be some almonds and some beef jerky, just trying to get something into my stomach and forcing myself to eat, because if I don't, I'm not burning anything. All I'm going to do is end up getting angry, and then I'm starving, and then I overeat, and then I'm mad at myself, and then all of a sudden I'm overly focused on something else. And that's how my thought process works. Our thought processes are different for everybody. But when it comes to trial and error, make sure that you tell the doctors exactly how it makes you feel. I mean, that's how I ended up settling on 10 and 10. Is at 10 milligrams, this allowed me to be functional. I remembered to eat. I completed multiple tasks in a day, and I became very good at time management. So it allowed me to really flourish in life and not be that over fixated on just one thing and everything gets tossed aside. So trial and error, I mean, it's more dangerous than what people talk about it being. I mean, people will just blow it off and be like, yeah, it's trial and error, sounds easy. You know what? I can tell you this too. When I'm trial and erroring and I'm not on meds, my life is a nightmare. I mean, I'm fighting for my life. Trial and error is dangerous. And that's why open communication with your doctor and like everyone around you is so important, because it is dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. If you're trying something and somebody tells you just to get on Wellbutrin, I've tried Wellbutrin all by myself with just that in my system and no Adderall, and guess what? It's not the same for me. And that's where we're all different. And it's hearing other people's experiences and what other people have been through to try and find those right dosages for you, finding the right meds for you. And it's not easy. Anyone going through it, my heart goes out to you. But I can tell you this, don't flip over and go to recreational drugs in a sense, because you don't know what any of that stuff's mixed with. Let's face it, I mean, Coke is mixed a lot of times with meth. It's cheaper, it splits it up. A lot of heroin out there is mixed with fentanyl. Pressed pills out there. I mean, if you're taking Adderall, get prescription Adderall. Don't go buy it from somebody, because all you need to do is jump onto Amazon, get a pill press, and you can tell people whatever you want that pill to be. And people don't know any better. And then it's in a pill form, so it has to be legit. No. I mean, drug dealers are not chemists. You got to remember that. So when you're going, get your stuff, get it prescribed, and work it through with your doctor. And if you don't trust your doctor and you don't have good communication with your doctor, find a different one. There's nothing wrong with firing your doctor. There's a lot of bad therapists out there. There's a lot of bad doctors out there, but there's a lot of good ones too. And you know what? It's about finding the right one, finding the one that's right for you. And once you do, man, life becomes so much easier. It's been so much easier for me to stay away from alcohol, to stay away from cocaine, because I don't have the draw to it. There's nothing that I'm self-medicating for. And I get done with the day and I'm like, hey, I had a productive day. I had a successful day. I'm happy with today. And it decreases my anxiety. It decreases my depression. And I'm not craving more. That was the hard thing with alcohol and with cocaine, is I always wanted more. I wanted more. I wanted more. I was so afraid of losing that high, that feeling that I had, that I craved more and more and more. But my brain works very structured that, nope, 10 milligrams and 10 milligrams. I don't have that urge when it comes to Adderall. That's why it sucks when, you know, you're prescribed something like Adderall and people are like, oh, you're just taking legalized meth. It's amphetamine salts. Yes, it does have a lot of the similar characteristics. It's not meth. In fact, meth, though, if you look it up, it actually is prescribed to some people with ADHD. Again, it's trial and error. And it's not the meth that you go cook in a bathtub. And that's the hard part about it, is there's so much pill shaming. There's so much shaming when it comes around this. Even when it comes around being a recovering alcoholic and cocaine addict, people will look at me and tell me I'm not sober because I am on Adderall. Well, last time I was off Adderall, I tried to kill myself. So I'd rather not die and take the meds that help me function as an adult than to listen to what other people say. A lot of times when you're on meds, you're going to have to put on some blinders, and you're not going to have to listen to some people, and you're going to have to find the right support system, because there are those that will bring you down and tell you what you're doing is wrong. But again, they're not a doctor. They're not you. So do you and be you. You know, once you find it, once you get it down, life becomes beautiful again. And don't ever forget this, that you matter. You're stronger than the words that other people say. Other people will try and bring you down, and don't let them. Because you matter. You matter. So do you, be you, and fuck those haters.